Okay, looks like we're live. All right, let's do this. Episode 220. I can't believe it. Coming from all over the world. Here we go in 3, 2, 1, and we're going live. Gotta catch 'em all. Our episodes, that is, and this is episode 220, which is all about Pokemon Go. You may have heard of it. I know we have. Before we start, though, I'll remind our listeners that serious trainers never miss an episode on iTunes, where you can listen to us every week. And for those of you who don't know who we are, I'm Tom.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Cam.
And in the interest of variety, I guess, that comes with Pokemon, I totally didn't screw up the intro and decided to mix that up on purpose. But regardless, on with the show, we can get back to our normal format now by kicking things off in our usual nerd extravaganza style with our weekly geekly weekly update. And Cam, I think you've got a rather peculiar week. Why don't you let us know what's going on?
Yes, I am broadcasting to you guys live from the City of Lights, Paris, France. My companion and I hopped on a plane to head over here for a 3-week. We'll be to the UK, England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and seeing all the sites that the cities have to offer, and also checking out some cool and nerdy spots along the way. We've already got some game stores and some video game places and other really cool nerdy places staked out, ready to hit. We've only been here about 3 days, but and we've just sort of been doing the essentials, the Louvre and Eiffel Tower and all that stuff. So that's been my week, pretty full so far, and looking forward to it getting fuller. The only thing I have to say is fuck you, American Airlines, for not getting us our bags.
Oh, God.
It's going on it's my 3rd day here, and my companion and I still don't have our bags. And no one seems to be able to know how to locate and deliver bags at American Airlines. So they can eat a fucking big fat dick and sit on a fucking sandpaper dick.
That is, yeah, wow. Completely appropriate. I can't even imagine being overseas without my luggage.
It's unbearable.
Yeah. Sandpaper. A sandpaper member would only begin to deliver the abrasive rebuke I would want to deliver. Oh man, sorry to hear that. So, yeah. Any nerdy stuff going on in Europe besides you?
Well, I mean,
making like a nerd not changing.
Well, we're definitely, in the Euro board gaming capital of the world here. Yellow Games, the game company I do a lot of work for, is here. We're definitely going to check out a bunch of gaming cafes and game stores. And then there's this video game place that I also want to hit that I saw on the internet the other day. I'm sure next week I'll probably have a better weekly, because I'll have had time. Literally the last 3 or 4 days has been spent traveling and then trying to buy essentials because shitty American Airlines didn't give me my bag.
That is so crappy. Sorry, man. Well, I'm glad you made it overseas at least. You can't go to is there like a wall now in the English Channel between Britain and like mainland Europe, or not after the Brexit?
Maybe, but I'm taking the channel over there, so hopefully that's not blocked off.
Yeah, I don't know. There may be a wall underground too. So report back on that.
I definitely will.
Awesome. Anything else before I turn it over to Brian?
That's it.
All right, turn it over to Brian.
Man, I was having kind of a boring week, and I was just reading on Reddit and on Facebook and all this kind of stuff, this Pokemon Go shit, and I was like, whatever, I'm bored, I'll try it, and I haven't done anything else since then. So
wow, it's that good?
The game. I mean, if you ever play Pokemon, you're probably pretty used to the kind of gameplay you get, but especially where we live, it is fascinating to me. Like, every college campus is crawling right now, and man, Tate's cool stuff, like just anywhere nerds congregate, like I've never seen anything like this.
Wow.
It's as bad as MMOs, but it's real life. I mean,
It's getting nerds out and about. Um, yeah, I've got a thing or two to say about that game myself actually when my time comes around. But I'm glad that you like it.
I'm really excited. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into this or whatever, but I'm really excited that AR is in front of everybody now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
really think it'll be like that little linchpin.
You have said for some time that AR is going to be the kind of first step into alternate realities, and
Dude,
you're right.
I was at my buddy's house and showing him how to play, and he just like the very first thing you get, like your starter Pokemon, he got his camera working, and there was a Squirtle like jumping up and down on his couch.
That's awesome.
It's unreal. It's unreal.
Oh man, that's
That's
great.
definitely the first one's free.
Oh
Pusher. I mean,
yeah.
pusher. I mean, that's everyone I've talked to has said that. Like, as soon as they downloaded it, oh, there's one right by me, and they get it, and then it's like, then they're spending 6 hours walking around town.
Did well, yeah, it's the walking thing I want to get into. Is it is the entire? Is like Europe way into it too, Cam? Has it taken the world
Yeah,
by storm?
it's so funny. We were like jet lagged last night, and we were watching like the whatever their news station is over here, and people all over Europe are going crazy, like just walking around with looking for Pokemon over here.
That's crazy. Oh, awesome. Anything else, Brian?
No.
Okay, over to me. I have actually been resisting Pokemon Go, and I'll talk about it though, nevertheless, in just a second. But first, I'll be saying, have I mentioned that I'm trying to do like all the little smart home stuff, like little by little, like implement smart gadgets? I have the Amazon Echo or Alexa, as she's known, and she has the power to control all these remote devices. Have I mentioned this at all?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I tried to install my first smart switch last week, and did not go very well. So I found an alternate site for it. The wiring was a little more complicated in this one box that I bargained for, and I am super cautious when it comes to electrical stuff. So I will be relocating that switch to another part of the house. I'm not saying sparks flew or anything, but maybe. In addition, did I tell you guys about the thermostat I got, the Honeywell? I think I mentioned that I was going to buy it with some Sears points or something, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I got this thing called the Honeywell Lyric, and it's kind of like Honeywell's answer to the Nest. And I have not installed that either, but I will let you know how awesome it is to be able to control my thermostat with gadgets. Anything I can add further complexity to through the addition of gadgets, I definitely will. So yeah, I'll report back on that. In the meantime, I will resist, hopefully, Pokemon Go. My companion is way into it and is constantly posting stuff and like is we have like a nature preserve like with the county set aside right across the street from us. They reclaim the land and they planted natural vegetation and there's like walking paths through there, just to kind of preserve some green space.
Hmm.
Apparently, there's a gym, a Pokemon gym, I guess, or something like that,
Hmm.
like in this thing, and she's like wanting to go in there in the middle of the night when there's like animals running around, like real live animals. I'm like, let's wait till daytime. I'm not saying she would, but she's like tempted. Like, ooh, I know there's Pokemon in there. I'm like, yeah, there's like raccoons and other things in there as well.
Just carry some ping pong balls. It's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Be funny to see a Squirtle on top of a snake or something. Anyway,
Hmm.
no, she's way into it, man. And like everywhere we go, she's like in the car, walking, what have you. She's like tracking it, and I have noticed people quote unquote walking their dogs with their phone in their face, like all around the neighborhood. Um, I think this app might be credited with getting Floridians to walk basically for the first time ever. And that's why I decided to entitle this episode PokeMango. Because usually the only other thing that gets Floridians out wandering around is mango season when they're trying to pilfer mangoes off of other people's trees. So Pokemon may have made that a year-round phenomenon. So welcome to pedestrianism, Florida. South Florida, I shouldn't speak for the whole state. And thank you, Nintendo, and whoever actually developed this for them, for getting people walking again. And that's it for my update. A little home automation and vicarious enjoyment of Pokemon Go. And we will talk more about it in the main segment of tonight's show. But in the meantime, Cam, I'm sure you've got some news to share. It's the
I
news
do.
extravaganza segment.
I do. I only have I have most of my news related to Pokemon, so maybe I'll just save those stories for the our actual discussion. The only the few news stories I have that don't relate to Pokemon is that the first one is you guys know and love Tumblr, I'm sure, right? I don't have a Tumblr account, but I've been on many a Tumblr account, and apparently now there is a dark side. Well, I guess there's always sort of been a dark side to Tumblr, but now there is a meth Tumblr.
What?
Where people can go on and post all of their pictures of themselves doing meth and smoking meth and buying meth and all kinds of good stuff about that. It's basically glorifying the Tweaker Nation.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you like meth, I guess there's a place for you on the internet as well. Let your meth flag fly on Tumblr, I guess. A speedrunner, one of those guys that goes on and tries to beat games as fast as possible and then post them on YouTube. He beat Super Mario Bros. 3 in 2 seconds.
What?
Yeah. Apparently he figured out some hack where he just wins in 2 seconds.
Okay, that's new to me.
So that's pretty ridiculous. And the only other news story I had that is not Pokemon related is, do you guys know who Martin Shkreli is?
No.
Wait, is he that pharmaceutical guy?
Yeah, he's like a real life like dark elf. Like he's like he looks like it in the face. I mean, if you look at his face, he has this company where he bought all these like sort of weird like just random pharmaceuticals, and then they go from like $5 a pill to like $500 a pill. And he profits off of that. He's under indictment. He's having all kinds of different lawsuits and federal investigations against him. But he's also like really weird, and he's kind of a nerd. Like I don't know if you guys remember, but like 4 or 5 years ago, the Wu-Tang Clan put out an album, but they only made one copy.
One. Yeah.
And then they sold it for like whatever, like $7 million or something. And this is the idiot that bought it. He's also trying to buy, even when he's under indictment, he's been like ousted from his company, like whatever. He doesn't give a fuck. He is now trying to acquire like rare magic cards. He wants a Black Lotus. He wants all kinds of just old school magic cards. And he's like, put that out to the internet, like sell me your rare alphas, basically. So he gives no fucks about his federal charges or anything else, but
clearly.
Yeah, and by the way, it's not just like drugs for like that he sells for allergies or something. It's like AIDS drugs that like people die if they don't get them, and he jacks the price up like 20,000 times.
That's right.
So he's a real scumbag.
A class act. He marks up life-saving drugs just because he knows people have to buy them. Yeah.
Exactly. And the last pretty cool bit of news is apparently Double Dare is going to be back on Nickelodeon. I don't know about you guys, but I would have given my left nut and my wife's future left titty to get on Nickelodeon when I was a kid.
Oh, God.
But it's coming back on TV, so I might just have my chance. I'm just going to have to like kill for a kid from somewhere and go on there.
You can always make one. I need to say that, Double Dare, that was my dream to go on that show. It looked awesome. That's one thing I need to see. The other thing is, does that mean, I don't know how to put this delicately. Were you referring to a future wife's left titty or a new left titty to be grown by a wife? Because I'm a little
No,
confused.
I meant whoever my future wife will be, I would give her left titty. I
Okay,
wouldn't
all
give her
right.
left titty.
Okay,
Like
all right. I didn't know.
my hypothetical future wife as a 15-year-old kid or whatever, 14-year
Okay,
old.
all right, okay. Because you could make a kid, but yeah, I don't having somebody grow a new left breast is not
Well, and
not
she
good.
has two. She has two, right? So I could spare one.
I'm sure you
That's how that
could. Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Oh
Uh,
God.
or I could marry the chick from Total Recall, and then she'd be down to two, which would be normal.
Oh,
Center
that's
and
true.
right.
Yeah.
Which one do you get rid of? Do you knock out the center one? Keep the
Yeah, you got to get
symmetry?
rid of that. Yeah, you got to get rid of the center boob.
I gotta think that would be handy though. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh man. All right. So, any other news?
No, not unrelated. All other news is related to Pokemon, and I'll just sort of throw it in there as we go.
All right. Okay. Let's get our left titties in gear and wow, this show got like middle school level like with vulgarity, but that's fine.
It's kind
And
of fitting.
yeah, it
Yeah,
kind of is.
it went side boob real quick.
It did go side move real quick. Let's get into Pokemon. Let's talk about this Pokemon Go. So I've got a lot to say in terms of me observing the phenomenon, but I have so far resisted temptation. So Brian, you said you're actually playing it. Cam, I don't know if you've played or if you're also resisting.
I am absolutely resisting because I could have played before I left for Europe, but well, I damn sure I'm not going to play in Europe. But which actually it might have been kind of cool to like be like walking around the Louvre and catching Squirtles. But like I have a sort of a just a principle against it, so I'm not doing it.
Um, it seems like there's no place people won't play, for the record. So don't think that just because you're around all this awesome historical uh, architecture in Europe, you can't just like be playing Pokemon. Apparently, did you hear that people like they had to people at the Holocaust Museum had to tell people not to play Pokemon there?
That I didn't. That is not in my news, but that's awesome. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
yeah,
not awesome for the Holocaust people, but like that's I can't believe that.
they had to, yeah, like ever so play. Like, could you please not play Pokemon Go here? This place is kind of, we kind of like a little reverence here.
Oh, they should not have been polite. They should have just slapped the phones out of their hands. I mean, that is. I mean, like that's. I mean, if all places not to do it, I mean, or to do it, that's
Right.
got to be top on the list not to do it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm assuming that the they're using some kind of a map thing, and like wherever there are landmarks or parks or buildings, they're just placing uh, Pokemon in there, or what are these little stations or gyms?
Gyms.
The
Gyms and
the
Pokestops.
gyms, yeah,
Pokestops. That's right. That's the
yeah.
other one I keep hearing about. Pokestops. So
And I think they're beacons too, right?
You install those at Pokestops.
is that
Oh,
what about?
okay.
There's bait too, right?
Bait you can just use wherever. That's like a personal thing. Like
Okay, bait beacons. I'm so confused. Anyway, hopefully you can like request like certain sensitive areas not have Pokemon activity. That'd be kind of cool.
I don't know, but I hear it's actually like they just like kind of like haphazardly slap down some things based on like local cellular usage. So places like museums, churches, parks, like where many people congregate, kind of got hit in the initial wave.
Okay.
Well, the converse is true. You can sponsor, like you can pay Nintendo to get a Pokemon gym or spot or whatever at your place of business, or very near to your places of business. So like if you were McDonald's, you can like make sure that like there's Pokemon stops like
Yeah.
near all of your stores and stuff like that. So I don't see why they couldn't turn them off in certain areas as well.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was talking with actually Nick, who used to be a host on the show, about this, and we were wondering if that's yet on top of all the microtransactions, if that's not another way for Nintendo and whoever the developer of this was to just rake in money by like, oh yeah, you want to sponsor a gym? No problem.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
that's wow. This thing is just a money printer. It sounds like.
Their previous game, you could actually like sponsor items. Niantic, by the way.
Niantic. Okay.
You could like sponsor items. Like the name would be called like the Pokemon brought to you by McDonald's.
Oh wow.
Or like, you know, the Pokeball of Greasy Big Macs. And they would
I
either be more easy to get or better or whatever. Like they're very well monetized. I love it.
I suspect that's going to be quite common. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see if this really takes and holds for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see like come into McDonald's today and catch them all or some crap, right?
I've seen a lot of places. I'm really surprised by. I know I mentioned this to you guys personally, but the local Japanese garden is actually like advertising. Hey guys, if you're gonna be in the area, drop by the garden and catch Pokemons. We've got 5 spots and 3 gyms, and like I've never. I mean, it's been out less than a week. Like, well, no, I guess today it's been out about a week, but I've never seen people pounce on this fast.
What do you think, Cam?
I mean, I think it's crazy. I mean, they're making money hand over fist. I mean, Nintendo just, you know, whenever you count them out, here they come, man. They're I mean, I can't knock it, you know. And like I said, I'm not playing, but I know all about it just from my friends and just reading up on it on the news and stuff.
You can't avoid it. You cannot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a phenomenon. You can't deny it. I'm not playing because I don't think it's a good idea. I'm just not playing, you know, just because it's on general principle. I'd rather enjoy life without looking through like the lens of my camera or my phone. But at the same time, I understand it. I mean, you know, I can see how it's fun, and I think it's I mean, in no way is it an indictment of AR. I love augmented reality, and I think this, you know, pushes it forward a million times, and so that makes me happy. But I just want my augmented reality fed to me a different way, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Do you think? I actually had a question I was just going to ask you, but I totally lost my train of thought. Disregard. Do you think? Okay. Do you think this will usher in copycats? Like now, like Brian you seem really high on this being like the thing that kicks in the door for augmented reality. Do you see like a lot of follow-ons?
Yeah, probably eventually. I mean, I'm sure other video game companies are going to take note, and I mean, everybody's already joking about Skyrim, you know, Skyrim Go or Fallout Go. Like, there's going to be adaptation soon. Why wouldn't there be? Nintendo's stock rose almost 9% in a single day. Other
That's
companies
crazy.
are gonna get on this.
That's crazy, man.
Well, and on top of that, like they're super smart about how they're doing it. I mean, like I said, they're making money by, you know, getting these sponsored spots. Then they're making money on the back end. So they're getting money to drive people to these particular spots, and then they're making money on the other side as well by the lazy people that don't want to get up and go to these spots. They're saying, well, you can just stay on your couch and pay us, you know, whatever you want to buy these Pokecoins, and those will buy you Pokeballs. And so all these in-game purchases, I mean, they're raking in like tens to hundreds of millions of dollars a day.
Wow.
Just on the in-game purchases, taking advantage of lazy people that don't want to go to these places.
So
they're making money coming and going, basically.
Pay to win, so to speak.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that is wow. So, what is the breakdown? I mean, obviously this is Nintendo's IP. Is there any news about who owns what percentage of this?
I wasn't able to figure that out, and I would assume that's on purpose. If I was Nintendo, I'd want to keep that a pretty guarded secret.
I mean, I think there's a reason Tom doesn't even know their name.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you had to speculate, Cam, would you think that it's like a revenue split, or did Nintendo pay like a flat fee to have this developed?
I think they're just gonna buy them.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo's big enough that they could have just did a pay for hire type thing, but this doesn't feel like that. I feel like someone probably came to them and said, look, we've got this system, let's call it, and we think that Pokemon Go would be the would be an amazing IP to add, basically as a skin to this. It works perfectly. It's essentially what Pokemon Go has been from the beginning. And here's the technology to do it. Here's how we can, launch it, and here's what we can do with it. And then Nintendo just said okay. And then I don't know. It depends on how good their lawyers were and what they negotiated.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
I would assume there is some sort of licensing fee though. I would be shocked if it was just a flat fee, but I definitely don't think it's 50-50.
Jesus, even if it's 10.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, the percentage? So Nintendo would get less as the more passive partner, or they get more?
Oh no, I meant Nintendo.
No, they would get way more. Yeah,
Okay,
Nintendo is the active partner. I think they're they're driving the.
I mean, their previous game was pretty much the exact same thing, and I don't think anyone's ever heard of it.
Yeah, I don't think I had never heard of these people before this, so.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now,
yeah, it's like video games, board games. You go to them and you say, "Hey, I have this awesome game." It could be Call of Duty. It could be the best game ever, but they're only going to pay you, 6, 7, maybe 10%.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So like the real value, like your awesome platform was cool, but it wasn't making crap. If you bring our IP to the platform, that's the real value. So we'll be taking
exactly. Well, and the implementation. I mean, this is all going through. I'm sure these guys don't have server farms. You know what I mean? To like keep up with all this traffic and manage the microtransactions and all that shit.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
In-game purchases and everything.
No one does, for the record. It's down 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
imagine if it was just Joe Dickhead, little office somewhere,
That was a complaint that my companion had, which is it was down quite a lot. She's like cursing it. Like this is also bizarre for me, like to hear my companion talk about servers being down and not being able to play. Like she'll play games with me, but she's not like a gamer, and she actually like plays this. Like she's a gamer when it comes to this, and I'm kind of proud of her.
That's awesome.
For embracing it. Speaking of gamers, though, in games, I was watching an older series on Mega Factories or something like that on, I think it was National Geographic or something, and I was watching this thing about Ferrari and how, like, the whole purpose behind, at least initially, Ferrari making consumer cars just so that they could fund their racing activities, like so they could pump all that money into like this racing tech because that's their real mission is to win these races. If Nintendo has created yet another money printing machine in this, have they got like does that basically mean like they could just like make the NX or their console stuff anything they want it to be, and like we don't really care if we lose the console battle, we're like awash in money? Or do you think the accountants like subdivide everything and know everything has to perform on its own 2 feet? In other words, do they have like screw you, we'll do whatever we want money? Or do their consoles still have to succeed and fail on their own merits?
I mean, they may have the money, but why would they do that? Like, I can't even imagine them personally being such console enthusiasts that they would make a console just to make a console that everyone hated.
Well, I think that I should probably restate that. They have they're in a comfortable situation so that they can tweak, like they don't have to launch the console and have it be a runaway success on day one. They can actually do some tweaking of the formula and position it and monkey with it to make it a success if it's not an initial success. Does that make sense? Like it seems to me they're more comfortable, but I don't know if that's the way it really works. Like if the Pokemon Go division's like, no, this is our money in our division. We're not funding your consoles.
I mean, I think it puts them in a better position, but I think more than anything, this proves you don't need Nintendo hardware to make $1 billion.
No, you definitely don't. Sure.
I'm kind of expecting them to come out on that side of it.
You think they're going to be like done with consoles, or
not done? But I mean, I don't know if it'll be their flagship anymore.
Yeah, I mean, spiritually, that just seems weird for Nintendo. But...
I mean, they've committed to the NX, and. Yeah. I mean, how they don't make cell phones, I'll never know. But Game Boy probably won't go anywhere. But I don't know. Like, will it be a huge commercial entity? why bother if you can just, play every Game Boy game on your cell phone, and if licensing it to someone else to do all the work makes more than your last console did.
Hmm. Well, it's funny you say that. So you're imagining potentially a different position for Nintendo, but I think Cam said a few minutes ago you were talking about counting Nintendo out. Do you guys remember, like, I think it was when the Wii U wasn't like doing gangbusters. Pretty much everybody was like, Nintendo's done. They're done. This is it. They're history. They're out of here. They're gone.
That's people. That's ignorance. I mean, no one thought Nintendo would disappear. They have like billions of cash. Cash for a company is so important.
Yeah. What do you think?
No debt, no nothing.
Yeah.
It's some of the greatest IPs in the world. Nintendo's not going anywhere as a company. We just might not like where they go as a gamer.
Yeah, because they may go away from traditional gaming hardware, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think what their problem has been is that they sort of have shunned the indie gamers and the indie games, and so now that they've embraced that, I think that they're probably going to see a lot more success with the NX, which again, I mean, everything I've seen on the NX, and Tom, maybe you've seen something since. I mean, I haven't checked over the last couple months, but the last stuff I saw on the internet about it was that it wasn't even going to be like a true console. There is no like, I mean, it's a console, but it's a download console basically, almost like your smart TV where you could play games over your smart TV. So you don't it doesn't even have like a CD reader or a cartridge reader. It's just you download the games with like a key code and then you play them. So it's really just a proxy,
Yeah. I think you mean you unlock them with an amiibo, Cam. We've already discussed this.
Yeah, of course.
That's too close to physical media. Nothing at all.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that if they stay in the console business, that's probably at best what they're going to be. And then they may not even be doing that anymore, and we'll just be licensing their IP to all these different little facets. I mean, games, but games out of the traditional sense that we think of.
And the market's moving towards that anyway. I mean, you really think Sony's going to make 3 or 4 more consoles?
Very true.
Yeah, this is the first I've heard of Nintendo, at least for Nintendo, like sitting on an IP, or becoming an IP kind of company, because they have properties that are as iconic as things Disney has, so
Absolutely.
I could see them going that direction. Do you think, like, what does Sony and Microsoft have in the way of IP that they would, like, where would they go if they weren't going to stay with the video game?
I mean, they still have pretty iconic IP as well. I wouldn't say as iconic as like Mario or Link, you know what I mean? But that's only because we're old, not old, but we're older. And so if you ask a kid about, like, my brother has Master Chief tattooed on his leg.
Yeah.
So, he's younger than I am. So, like, so you don't think Sony or, one of those, like, I mean, their icons are just in waiting in terms of, once people get older and nostalgia sets in, it's just going to be like now how Mario and He-Man and all those things are setting, are nostalgic for people our age.
Yeah, you're right. I'm hearing, like, not even kids, but younger adults, like, pine for these ancient things from their childhood that I remember. Like, oh, I remember when that came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your formative years are called that for a reason, and whatever hits you during that time period, I think, resonates with you for life.
Absolutely.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, I feel like we've kind of hit a few bases here. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about with Pokemon Go, with Nintendo, with AR?
I just got to share the stories. So, yeah, you guys will remember for sure, and listeners may remember. She was on the show a few times. Our friend April, who's the executive director of a museum in Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
A museum is not at all any place that I would think attracts gamers or attracts youths, or for whatever reason, it was lucky enough to have been a gym.
Oh God.
And by Sunday, April was asking, like, what the hell is this Pokemon Go stuff, and why are all these kids hanging out at my museum all of a sudden?
Wow.
And secondly, Sunday night,
hilarious.
there's this place in Fort Lauderdale, all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue. I love it. I go there on Sundays sometimes. Driving home from that, I just thought to myself, I wonder what Tate's has. 1:30 at night. Sunday, so people had to work the next day. I drive by Tate's. I park because I don't want to be like an asshole and drive while I'm Pokemoning or anything. And there's a Pokestop in the center. So I'm like, all right, let me get my Pokestop, and my phone crashes, and I'm having all these problems. And it's taking me forever. And I just happened to notice, like, 15 cars pull up next to me, drive off. Pull up next to me, drive off. I go down, like, actually to Tate's, because of course that's a Pokemon stop too. And there's like 20 cars in the parking lot in the middle of the night, and there's kids walking around on their cell phones looking down. The Pokemon, the Pokestop had a lure in it, so like it was extra likely to have good Pokemon, and everybody was just hanging out after the damn place was closed. Like,
Wow.
Unreal.
So
just amazing to me, man.
let me ask you this, Brian. So
Well,
AR, and this game in particular, is luring people out into the environment, out into the world, getting them out of their houses. Are they interacting, or are they just basically like staring at their phones and ignoring each other?
So this is anecdotal, but yeah, everybody online is talking about how, you know, they're going out and they're interacting and they're talking to people, and the whole like Team Valor sucks, no, Team Mystic sucks, like the rivalry, like the friendly camaraderie, making fun of everybody else, and it really looks like it's pretty good for socialization, and especially in this crowd, because number one, crazy early adopters, number two, people who don't usually go outside, number three, like not what I would expect at all.
Hold on, I'm getting communication in on the wire, meaning my companion is messaging me live as we talk and interacting with exclamation points. Evidently, it has. She's talked more people at her coffee shop since starting Go than she ever has before. So
Yeah.
it is apparently an icebreaker, a conversation starter, a bringer together of people.
I think this is going to be crazy, because first off, I've already seen people.
for people that are in the know, it is.
And for people not in the know, will they?
They're just scared.
Well, they'll all be. Everybody will be drawn in eventually, won't they?
Yeah, probably. Because it is.
I kind of expected Cam to mention this, and I read about it right before I got on. So if it's false, you know, if it's proven false later tonight, don't blame me. But did you guys see that, like, the president of Israel tweeted a picture of the Pokemon in his office?
No, are you serious?
That is the story. Like I said, I don't know if it's true or not, but
that's hilarious.
First off, obviously the guy doesn't play, but somehow it reached that level where he actually like knew to take this cheesy picture, and I hope it's true. I love that might be true.
When we see Obama tweet a Pokemon Go picture, and I actually would not be surprised if he did it, we'll know that it has like taken the world by storm, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's cool. Well, I'm glad that it's. Cam, you're kind of there's a long delay if you're saying something.
How we might be losing them.
Yeah, Cam's audio might be cutting out on us. Yeah, I think we may have lost Cam. We're down a man. Well, what do you want? The guy's over in Europe. They don't have the internet over there.
Oh, he's dropped. All right.
Yeah, he's done so. We'll wait for him to come back, I guess. My Facebook feed, I will point out, is entirely, not entirely, but there's Pokemon Go stuff everywhere.
I seriously cannot believe the saturation this has reached, because, I mean, sure, I'm in like nerdy groups and I have nerdy friends who post and everything, but like my mom's Facebook feed is full of it, man.
I know, man. It's nuts. Here's a nice story. An animal shelter wants Pokemon Go players to help walk dogs.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. You got to walk to hatch your eggs. You got to like actually put distance into into it. So a bunch of shelters are like, look, there's an app for it. There's an app for like if you walk, they donate. And then there's all kinds of like 401ks and things like that. They're like, hey, I'm gonna do it anyway. Why don't you make us your sponsor and go do it?
That's cool. I didn't realize. So you actually have to take it's making you exercise to hatch your eggs.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, so the company that made it, Niantic or whatever, their first game they called an Xer game, and the point of it was to actually get people to exercise.
Okay.
And I know like that's probably not the selling point, but I mean it's really a huge part of the game. Like you have to get up and walk around. Like, I was saying campuses earlier. There's like 10 or 15 Pokestops on a campus, but you're right there. And I mean, if I just go, to the other building, I get extra Pokeballs, and then you're, well, now I just got to go one more, and the next thing, then you got to walk, 3 buildings back to your car, and it really adds up.
That's awesome.
Fast.
That's anything that encourages. I'm a big proponent of walking. I mean, like rigorous exercise, of course, is awesome, but like daily walking is really good for you. So, wow, AR changing the world for the better. Pokemon changing the world for the better. Cam, we get you back?
I cannot wait until this is like a glasses app.
Yeah. So you don't even need a device; it just like projects. Although then you're gonna have people walking into trucks. So
no, we do already. So
yeah, true. Have there been any muggings or like purse snatchings of people distracted by this thing yet?
Yeah. There was a story. Like I guess a couple of Pokestops are in pretty shady neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So like a couple of like thugs, like let's go hang out at the Pokestop. Nice phone you got there, guy.
They never knew a nerd could fight so hard. Like,
yeah,
that geek kicked our ass.
We're not getting our Pokemon.
I wonder about that because, I think like pickpockets and muggers look for distracted people, and I can't think of anyone more distracted than somebody out looking for these things. Not to get dark or bring the mood down. Just
well, I think you just got to be smart about it. Like you can't live in this alternate world. It's got to augment your own. Like.
Right.
And this, I mean, if you recall your first MMO, the first is by far the worst. Oh my God. It is something you've never experienced before. And it's so easy to get lost. And then like after a while, you're kind of like, you manage it better.
Yeah. Once the addiction has passed, so to speak. So yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be going through this for the first time, whereas we're somewhat what's the word, inoculated maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think due to intercontinental technical difficulties, Cam being in Europe, we may not get him back. So should we call this episode? Anything else you want to talk about? This is really cool that this is such a phenomenon.
A lot of people think it's going to be short-lived. I don't know about that. I mean, Pokemon Go may not be, 10, 15 years down the road, but I really think, I mean, I don't see how you get a new technology in front of this many people and then it just goes away. I think this is like the turning point for AR.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. See, I'm gonna wait to jump in. I'm gonna make myself wait a couple weeks to see if the fervor dies down. Because what was the last thing Nintendo put out? It wasn't an AR game. It was that Miimoto game for phones. It was just kind of like a social.
Oh.
And it was like all the rage, and then fizzled out. This seems more compelling, and I hope this is here to stay.
At least you're at least hang out with your companion or whatever. Like the next time she catches a Pokemon when you're sitting across from her at dinner or something like that, just take the phone and look at it, because dude, you really see this animated character like in your surroundings.
Oh, I've seen she has showed me the phone on several occasions. I don't know why this game hasn't immediately seized me. But yeah, it looks cool. Like I'm resisting, and it's taking some effort. So
yeah,
I'm gonna try to resist a little longer if I can. I want to at least beat one console game before I die. But I'll probably dive in eventually too. So anyway, I'm glad you're enjoying it, and it must feel good to be part of like this moment in history, nerd history.
It's a little cheesy, but I really do think that this is like, an important time or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I was so excited for VR, like in '92 or whatever, and I just watched it go nowhere. And dude, I was reading the data. This has more active users than Twitter on Android, on the Android platform. It's been downloaded more times than Tinder. Its engagement, its daily engagement, surpassed Facebook's.
Wow. So yeah, it is.
It's been out for 8 days.
Okay, it is. Phenomenon is probably an understatement.
I have honestly never seen anything like this. I mean, everything like huge that I was into, like I said, I keep saying MMOs. It was me and my 10 friends, and everybody else was like, dude, what the fuck is EverQuest? Like, it's never been anything like this. I was just at a dim sum house, like, just eating lunch, and the waitress was complaining. She's like, those kids hanging outside need to know Pokemon are for paying customers only.
No, please tell me that's a joke.
I swear to God.
Get away from our... You should be able to, like, steal Pokemon from non-paying customers. But they're not sponsoring a Pokemon thing there, are they? Or
no, they're not. They were just they've seen so much of it, they're already joking about it.
Oh, like, okay. I see.
Mean, you can't really tell them not to be there or whatever, but they just didn't like them hanging around out front without paying.
Yeah, see, from a business owner's standpoint, I would think you would want the traffic, but you would want it to be traffic. You'd want people to come in and like buy something. So
that's like, probably a little harder for a restaurant.
Yeah. A place like Tate's, which for listeners who don't know we've mentioned it a few times, but it's like the biggest comic and toy and kind of nerd culture shop down here in South Florida, where our show broadcasts. And a place like that, I think, makes perfect sense. Dim sum? I don't know. Perhaps not. But regardless, I look forward to hearing more about this. I will probably give it... No, I'm gonna resist, but I will have my companion tell me more as the weeks progress. Cam, did we get you back? Are you back? Nope. Which will
kinda.
Yeah. He's muted.
Audio or video, you only get one.
Yeah. There we go. I see your video, but no audio, Cam. I think you might be muted on your end. Oh, there he is, kinda.
I'm back.
Hey, you're back. Yeah, yep. Brian and I, in your absence, were just talking about... Brian and I, in your absence, were talking about how this has well, we talked about a lot of things, but basically how this is like a crazy phenomenon, surpassing engagement of such venues as Facebook and so on. And we're just kind of wondering if it's got legs and this is only the
Mhm.
beginning of more games like this. And the internet has other plans. So,
Pretty. Yeah. Am I coming through, or is that all right?
yeah, there's a bit of a delay. Sure. But any
Like
final comments?
50-50.
Yeah. Any final comments on this
Yeah.
game, Cam?
Well, I was gonna say, it's crazy lengths to put hacks on the game. Apparently, some guys have drone, and so they're hacking. They're basically beating the system that way, flying the drone around and finding all the Pokemon with the.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
and have you guys heard all the negative things that have happened, like
No.
Yeah,
from
like
the
the muggings, we did
Oh
hit
yeah,
that.
I was asking Brian
people
about that.
searching for? Well, okay, so yeah, well, some chick found a dead body.
Oh.
That was like
Yeah, some dude
coincidental.
went
That was
on
not
some.
exactly related.
Right. Right. It wasn't related. The person didn't presumably didn't die because they were playing Pokemon, but she
They
just
didn't like walk off a
stumbled across
cliff.
one. Yeah. Some guy in Australia went on some crazy rant on Facebook about Pokemon, and he got fired because
Oh.
he used a bunch of profanity and was all upset. Um, let's see. A man, while his wife was giving birth, screenshotted a picture of him catching a Pidgey, like as giving birth. Like you see the woman giving birth in the background, and then the guy's like catching the Pidgey. Obviously, I'm sure you guys talked about like people are getting hurt, people are like falling holes, people are like getting into accidents, because they're not paying attention to what they're doing. There's been a ton of Pokemon-related malware are downloading onto their phones now. Uh, uh, yeah, I mean, the other thing I'm shamed publicly, and we sort of talked about this thing, which I agree they should have been. Other people are getting picked on, like oh, there goes one of those Pokemon dickheads or Pokemon nerds, or you know what I mean. So there's a whole bunch of Pokemon shaming going on as well.
Really?
Oh,
There's a backlash?
yeah, but yeah, but despite all that, I still think it's a behemoth. It's not going to. I
No,
mean,
I'm sure.
maybe Pokemon will go away, but something.
I wonder why people are picking on people playing Pokemon. I mean, it's like nobody cares if walking around with a sports jersey on, right? I mean, that's just
This is
accepted.
this is probably the first big example of internet culture hitting real life. It's the same kind of assholes that troll you for fun. They just think they can get away with it, and
Hmm. Yeah, but I would think that the players would be the source of the trolling, not the like bros. Of course, I'm assuming it's bros
yeah,
picking on
it's
people.
probably other smelly players. I mean,
You're probably right. You're probably right. All right, I think Cam was able to say his piece there, and then we may have lost him again. So we should probably try to bring this to a conclusion. This was a good episode. And next week, Ghostbusters. Just kidding. Hey, we got Cam back. I'm really curious about that movie, but I'm skeptical. I want to wait and see how it's received before I go see it. But if we do decide to see it, I wouldn't mind doing an episode on it, guys. And I'm sure our audience would love to hear our views.
I'm really worried that it's not worth the $10 or whatever. I will probably, I don't even care about the critics or anything like that. Like, I might just steal this one first and then go see it if it's good. Like, I don't want to be a lemming and like, oh, it sucks. But I mean, it looks really terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. I agree.
But like, I have morbid curiosity for just how terrible.
Me too, and I really want to be pleasantly surprised. I actually want it to be good because I don't want a Ghostbusters movie to suck.
Some people say it's pretty decent.
We'll see. Let's half-heartedly commit to maybe seeing it and maybe doing an episode, depending on whether or not we all go see it.
I'm sure I'll be taking my mom so when I get back, so we could probably make that work.
All I want to know, Cam, is it worth the $10 or not? Because I don't want to reward them for shit, but I don't really want to steal it either. I was kind of kidding about that. Just like text me, worth it or no.
And you know, it occurs to me, Cam is our he's like our lab rat. His mom like makes him go see every movie that comes out. So So all right, Cam, possibly leading the Vanguard into another movie episode after Ghostbusters. We'll see, but
cool.
Regardless, another great topic coming up next week for sure. Do remember to tune in, and I will remind you. I was going to make a reference to the teams, but I don't even know them, so I'll just say I'll remind you, trainers, that you can. Boy, I keep using the catch 'em all in reference to our episodes quite a lot, but I'll do it again because what the hell? You could catch all of our episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, and if you prefer my preferred method of viewing, although I guess I shouldn't really express my bias that way, check out Google Play Music.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, add us to your Google circle, and join the Nerdstravaganza HQ group for Pokemon trainers.
Get off your ass and go to our website, nerdstravaganza.com. Roll your Pokeball on over to YouTube and type Nerdstravaganza into the handy-dandy search bar. Check out all of our video content. And shoot us an email at nerdstravaganza@gmail.com and tell us all about your Pokemon goings.
And Brian, Pokemon trainer extraordinaire Brian, with all that said, take us away.
Pika, Pika, Pikachu!
That's good. Hey, we are done. Good night, everybody.